Speaker, gender-based violence is an epidemic in our country. 39% of women have experienced violence since the age of 15. 31% of women have experienced physical violence and 22% have experienced sexual violence. 12% of adults reported having seen domestic violence against their mothers when they were children. Women are more likely to experience violence from someone they know than from a stranger, 35% to 11%. 25% of women have experienced violence, emotional abuse or financial abuse from a cohabiting partner since the age of 15. Women with disability are more likely to experience violence, with 50% of women with an intellectual disability experiencing sexual violence. 53% of women have experienced sexual harassment. On average, one woman is killed every 9 days by a current or former partner. According to the research group Counting Dead Women Australia, 64 women were killed in violent incidents in 2023. 4,620 women aged 15 or over were hospitalised due to family and domestic violence in 2021-22. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women are 31 times more likely to be hospitalised by family and domestic violence, with non-Indigenous men making up a significant portion of the perpetrators. Our Watch research shows that around 25% of men in Australia say that they have used physical or sexual violence against women. Gender violence against women is estimated to cost Australia $26 billion a year. Financial abuse is estimated to cost $10.9 billion, of which $5.7 billion is borne directly by the victims, those same women who turn up in homelessness shelters in their latter years. Deputy Speaker, we talk a lot about family and domestic violence in this place, and they are some very sobering statistics. In 2022, the government launched the National Plan to End Violence Against Women and Children. This is a 10-year plan for state and Commonwealth governments that looks at prevention, early intervention, response, recovery and healing. In the last 3 budgets, this government has invested $3.4 billion. States and territories fund services. Not-for-profit and charities fundraise for services. And still these statistics persist. And each statistic represents countless lives, real human beings, lives lost, suffering, fear, disadvantage. To say this is an epidemic is understating it. If any other cause of death and injury, not to mention cost to the taxpayer and the economy, if there were anything else causing this much damage to 51% of the community, it would be an emergency. And I think it's sometimes easy to think that everyone knows this, everyone cares, everyone wants something done about it. In here we talk about this quite a lot, we hear the statistics, we meet the survivors and the families of those killed. But I know that every time I put something up on social media about women, it doesn't even have to be about violence against women, I need to keep a sharp eye out for the trolls. And I do wonder if maybe the language we use is wrong. As we know, the term just a domestic used to be used to minimise what was happening behind closed doors, to clearly align that this was a private matter. Maybe using terms like domestic violence also minimises what is happening. Maybe if what we refer to is happening as murder, assault, torture, it might get through the seriousness of what is happening to a very significant part of the Australian population. Because the definition of the word domestic is relating to the running of a home or to family relations. And the only relevance here is that some of it happens in a domestic setting. Deputy Speaker, I would like to finish by dedicating this speech to the late Helen Oxenham OAM. Helen Oxenham was a stalwart of the women's movement in South Australia. She grew up in a violent household in Ireland, one of 6 children, where her mother experienced violence and the children saw it. After migrating to Adelaide with her husband and hearing the stories of her friends going through similar violence with no supports, no services, she was instrumental in setting up the first women's shelter in Christie's Beach in 1977. She sold lamingtons to fundraise to support this. Helen spent her entire life campaigning against domestic violence and to promote gender equity. She died recently at age 93, and her Irish funeral and wake was attended by hundreds of mourners, from women that she had helped over the decades, their adult children, or now adult children, to leaders in the gender equality movement, in the anti-domestic violence movement, local community groups, politicians and community leaders. Vale Helen, and thank you for all you did. You made a difference to so many lives.